Okay, so we are continuing Perek Yud Beis, and really we're going to get to one of the most important points of not just Perek Yud Beis, Perek 12, but we're going to get to one of the most important points of the entire Tanya here. Okay, so let's look inside. And we're saying like this. Let's start on page 32, towards the bottom of the page, 3 lines from the bottom. Someone have a watch that I could just borrow for a second? Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, so it says like this. Rak mipnei shelo lo levado mishpat hamelucha b'memshala be'ir eino yochol lahoitzi taivaso mikoyach al hapoyel lislabish be'evri aguf b'maisa dibur b'machshava. So we talked about this last time, the idea of how the nefesh of Bahamius is making a comeback. Right? The Nefesh Elokis was in total control during davening. He meditated, he thought, he was able to access the brain power, the emotional power, the actuality of doing, thinking, speaking, everything was going his way. And then, as we talked about last time, all of a sudden, the hold of the Nefesh Elokis starts to dissipate. And the Nefesh Bahamiya starts coming back. The animal soul starts coming back. However, we have to remember, we're dealing with a Benoni here. So, despite the fact that the Nefesh Bahamiya is making a comeback, it still does not have the capability of bringing things or bringing its agenda from what is known as Kayach to Payel, which means from the potential into actuality. It just can't. Because the Nefesh Elokis is still in control enough to be able to make sure that there is no manifestation of the agenda of the Nefesh Bahamius. Right? For example, that even though he may have a desire in his mind or in his heart to go after something that really he shouldn't be going after, his mind is enough in control, his Nefesh Elokis is enough in control that he's never going to allow it to go past that point. Why? And here are the key 5 words that the whole Tanya is focused around. Ki hamayach shalit al halev. Because the brain is shalit, and we have to figure out exactly what that means, al halev, on the heart. Okay, this is Kamosha Kasuv, like it's written in Mariah Mehemna, Parashas Pinchas. That's a portion of the Zohar. The simple meaning is that the brain is in control of the heart. The brain rules over the heart. Betoldaso v'teva yitziraso. In its birth, and that is the nature of how a human being is being created. Shekach noitzer ha'adam betoldaso, that this is how a human being is created. Shekol adam yochol, that every single individual is able to, beritzayno shebemaicho, with his rotzen in his brain, lihis apek, to hold himself back, velimshol, and to rule, beruach taivaso shebelibo, over the spirit of desire in his heart, shelo limalos mishailos libo b'maisa diver b'machshava, to not fulfill whatever are the wantings and needs, the desires, the things that are coming up from his heart, not in action, not in speech, and in machshava. Okay, so let's go back. What does this mean? This is an essential point to our whole story here on the earth. The bottom line is that we were constructed in such a way that our brain is able to control our heart. Our brain is able to control our heart, which means that we are going to get lots of messages over the course of the day from our heart to do all different types of things that really we don't want to do, that really are not fulfilling our mission here in this world. The question is, how is it supposed to work? So, in essence, what the Alter Rebbe is saying here is he's telling us 2 points. When we say that the mayach is shalit al halev, we can learn it out in one of two ways. The ideal way that mayach is shalit al halev is a way of education. That the brain is going to, so to speak, light up, turn on the light switch for the heart, to recognize that the heart itself is going to recognize that this is not the pathway I want to go down. That's the ultimate way of doing things. So for example, like we gave a story this morning in class of a child. A child, when they go to sleep, when they're 5 years old, 6 years old, whatever it is, they're afraid of every monster. There's a monster here, there's a monster there, right? The shadows that are coming from the outside, the tree is moving, and all of a sudden the leaves are rustling, and you see in the room, right, all the shadows are making all different types of pictures and things on the wall, and the child is afraid, he's holding on to his cover, he's calling mommy, tati, and all you have to do is you go into the room and you turn on the light. When you turn on the light, you see there's no monster, there's no scary thing. You look at the window, you see that the sun is shining, or not the sun, the moon is shining out on the trees, on the branches, on the leaves, the wind is rustling. We see what's going on, and all of a sudden the monster disappears. What happened to that monster? Wasn't it there 5 seconds ago, 2 seconds ago? With one turning on of a light switch, the monster disappears. That's the ultimate way. The ultimate way is that when I realize that this thought, this desire that I am reaching towards is not in my best interests. That is the idea of the brain controlling the heart. That is the idea of the brain controlling the heart. But controlling, not in a way of controlling, in a way of educating the heart. That the heart should know what's going on. Okay, that's possibility number one. However, there's another possibility. Because sometimes what happens is that everything's moving too quickly. And I can't educate the heart. And I want to do this thing. I want to do it right now. I have a tremendous impulse to do something. And I know it's the wrong thing to do. Even sometimes. But the Alter Rebbe says here a very special language. He says, "B'ritzaino shebemoicho." If you look four lines down on Yud Zayin. Meaning what? That the ratzon, the will of the nefesh elokis, which is found also in the brain, has the power to win out over the heart as well. And sometimes you just have to say, I'm in control here. We're not doing this thing. That is the way a human being was made. That my nefesh elokis, my godly soul, has the power, has the strength to be able to stop my nefesh bahamis right on the spot, right at the moment. That's how. How? Because sometimes I need my rotzen, sometimes I need my will to do it. It's not enough. I don't have the opportunity to understand what's going on. I just need control right now. Stop doing. I can stop myself. And the nature of a human being is that they have the potential to stop themselves on a dime. On a dime they could stop themselves. That's how it works. And it's not just talking about some great person that we were talking about before, Superman, like we were talking about. We're talking about every single person was created this way. Every single person was created this way. So now you could ask the question, if that's the case, so then, isn't the nefesh of Bahamis, isn't the animal soul automatically just crash and burn? Why is there even any issue here whatsoever? Once you have this strength, the idea, as we're going to see a little bit later on as we go down this page, is that Hashem gives the strength also to the animal soul. He gives the animal soul strength to be able to challenge us. And he does challenge us. He challenges us every single day with all these different negative points of view and all these desires and all these things I should be doing and all these bad emotions of jealousy and anger and all these different things. We're constantly being challenged along those lines. That's what's happening to us, right? But he has given the Nefesh Elokis, the godly soul, the strength, the power, that if you tune into it, if you apply yourself, if you tune in your brain that this is what I'm going to do, I am going to be in control of this moment, you're able to do it. Just like that. Whether it's through shalit in terms of education or shalit in terms of ratzon. And that's what he says right over here. He's able to limshol beruach taivaso shebelibo. He's able to control, to rule over the spirit of his desire in his heart. Shalolim ois mishailos libo b'maisa dibur v'machshava. Now look at how he brings it over here. He doesn't talk about it in terms of machshava, dibur, and maisa the other way. Usually we talk in terms of thought, speech, and action. Here he's speaking in the ways of action, speech, and thought, which is interesting that he brings it from this perspective, because he starts with the easiest thing. The easiest thing is to control my action. That's the easiest thing to do. The second easiest thing, we could quote it like that, is to control what I speak, what I say. And the hardest thing, obviously, is that I'm going to control my thought. But each of those three garments are able to be controlled by me. They're able to be controlled by me at any given moment. That's what I have the capability to do. And I have to realize that I have that strength. I have to realize, I have to tune into that power that I have. That's what the Alter Rebbe is saying here. Of course, a Benoni is tuned in. But even I have to tune in. I have to realize that I have that capability at any given moment that I can do this. Why? Because that's how God created me. That's the idea. And to take one's mind away completely from any desires of the heart. To the opposite side. And we're going to talk about this at the end of this chapter. A person can feel, for example, very upset with another individual. He could be very angry at them. He could feel in his heart negative feelings towards that person. And he wants to do even something bad to him, God forbid. At that moment, he could control himself and turn himself over to the opposite side. To the absolute opposite. He did something bad to me, I could do something good to him. Just like that. Just like that. Why? Because he has this in himself, that he could do this. He could choose to do this. He has the control of it. Lahefach legamre, the opposite, the complete opposite of where his nature should drive him to do. He can be in control of himself in an absolute manner like that. Ubefrat el atzara kedusha, and in particular to the side of kedusha, kedichsiv, like it's written in Koheles, v'ra'isi sheyesh yisaron lachachma min hasichlis ki yisaron ha'or min ha'choshech. As King Solomon taught us, I see that there is an advantage of wisdom over foolishness, like the advantage of light over darkness. So you could ask yourself the question, like, well, seemingly it doesn't take King Solomon to realize this, right? Shlomo Melech was the biggest genius that ever lived. What is he trying to say here? So what he's saying here is that there are 2 points that we're going to notice with regards to or and choshech, light and darkness. There are 2 different points. Point number 1 that the Alter Rebbe is going to bring out is that how much or do you need to push away a lot of darkness? You need a drop. All you need is a little bit. Think about it in terms of, let's say that we had a bathtub, and you had a ball, and you took the ball, it was a heavy ball that doesn't float, and you threw it into the bathtub. How much water would go up? The same amount of volume or space or whatever it is that the ball takes up, that is the amount of water that will rise. It's a exactly equal amount, right? That is not the case with regards to light and darkness. You could have a pitch black room, so to speak, with all this darkness, if you can imagine, and you strike a match, and all of a sudden it becomes light. All it takes is a drop. A drop of light takes away a huge amount of darkness. Not only that, the second point of this example is that there's never a fight between light and darkness. If I have an idea that comes into my head, right, and I'm having a struggle, I don't want this idea in my head, but my animal soul does want the idea to be in my head. At that moment, I could struggle back and forth, right? We see struggles in so many different areas. With light and darkness, there is no struggle. Once you strike that match, the darkness disappears. Automatically, just like that. What the Alter Rebbe is saying here with regards to the chachma that's in my brain, with the seichel, the intellect that's in my brain, with my godly soul, is that all it takes is a little bit of light. That's it. And it knocks away all the darkness. It knocks away all the foolishness. Now in the upper worlds, right, what is the idea of intellect or wisdom? It's light. Something that's clear, something that you see, something that opens up. It takes away the darkness. Foolishness is darkness. It's confusing. When a person is confused, he's in like a state of darkness. He can't see. He doesn't know what's happening. He can't figure it out. Which way to go? What do we do? And all of a sudden, someone comes up with an idea, right? It's like the cartoon character, right? All of a sudden, he sees like a light bulb pops up over his head. Oh, what an idea. What happened here? The darkness disappeared. That's the idea here with our case, with the Mayach Shalat Alev. It's not just a matter of control, that the brain controls the heart, but the brain with a little bit of intellect, of Kedusha, will push away all these negativities that we have from our Nefesh HaMahamis, that we have from our animal soul. Now, it's interesting, I just want to finish on this one point, which is a fascinating idea. If you look at the sentence in Koheles, you will not see it written this way. You will see, V'ra'isi ani, I see, sheyesh, that there is an advantage of chachma over foolishness, right? Wisdom over foolishness, like the advantage of light over darkness. So, why did the Alter Rebbe take out the word ani? The word I, Aleph Nun Yud. So, Mashpiyim say that with the word Ra'isi Ani, if he would have kept the word I in, you would think that maybe only someone on the level of Shlomo HaMelech could have possibly recognized that. So he wanted to take that away. It's not just Shlomo HaMelech, it's you and me. We can recognize this idea. On the other hand, if you look at the word Ra'isi, it means I see. So why do you leave that word in? Because, to finish with this idea, it's a matter of seeing. It's not a matter of understanding or hearing. When you see something, it's a totally different way of understanding. If you read something in a book, like you could understand it, it makes sense. But if you see it with your own two eyes, there's nothing that anyone else is going to tell you that's going to try to convince you that this event didn't happen. You're going to say, I saw it with my two eyes. I saw it. If you read about something and you understand, oh, you heard it from someone else, okay, you know. But when I see something with my own two eyes, I know it's true. It's there. I see it. So that's what the Alter Rebbe was trying to show us with this, that Ra'isi, that I can see, that every person can see, that the light, a little bit of light, a little bit of wisdom will push away the foolishness. Okay? Mitzvah Hashem, next time we'll continue with this idea.